More than 3 dozen migrants died in a dormitory fire at an immigration detention center in northern Mexico near the U.S. border, immigration officials said Tuesday. The fire broke out when migrants fearing deportation set mattresses ablaze late Monday at the National Immigration Institute, a facility in Ciudad Juarez south of El Paso, Texas. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said. At least 40 people had died and 29 injuries had been reported as of late Tuesday, the Immigration Institute confirmed in a statement posted to Twitter on Tuesday. The injured were taken to hospitals, the institute said. Authorities were investigating the fire, the institute said. The country's prosecutor general has launched an investigation, Andrea Chavez, federal deputy of Ciudad Juarez, said in a statement. Mexico's National Human Rights Commission also was alerted. López Obrador said the fire was started by migrants inside the facility after they learned they would be deported. They never imagined that this would cause this terrible misfortune, López Obrador said. The Immigration Institute said it energetically rejects the actions that led to this tragedy, without further explaining what those actions may have been. The institute said 68 men from Central and South America were staying at the immigration facility at the time of the fire. Authorities were working with other countries to identify the dead. Victims were identified as being from Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Venezuela, Colombia and Ecuador. Guatemalans made up the largest contingent, according to the Mexican Attorney General's office. Guatemalan Foreign Affairs Minister Mario Bucaro said 28 of the dead were Guatemalan citizens. We are going to look to find those responsible for this, Bucaro said. Photos showed ambulances, firefighters, Mexican soldiers and vans from the morgue swarm the scene. Rows of bodies were laid out under silver sheets in a parking lot outside the facility. Survivors were carried on stretchers into ambulances. A woman wept while leaning her head against an ambulance. Global human rights organizations called for stronger protections for asylum seekers and expressed outrage over the fire, which they said sheds light on systemic issues related to the detention and treatment of migrants. The fire serves as a reminder to the governments of the region of the importance of fixing a broken migration system, said Ken Salazar, U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, in a Twitter statement. The Immigration Institute has struggled recently with overcrowding in its facilities. About 20 migrants. Officials and human rights workers described a southern Mexico immigration detention center run by the institute as crowded and filthy, according to an investigation by the Associated Press in 2019. The extensive use of immigration detention leads to tragedies like this, Felipe González Morales, the United Nations Special Rapporteur for Human Rights of Migrants, said in a Twitter statement. He said immigration detention should be an exceptional measure and not generalized. Human rights organizations have warned for years about the risks people from Central and South America face when trying to apply for asylum in the United States, Rafael Velázquez, Mexico director for the International Rescue Committee, a global human rights organization, said in a statement. The dangers have increased, and humanitarian infrastructures in the country have been increasingly strained, amid historic numbers of new asylum claims, and stricter border policies. The news of the fire at the migrant detention center in Ciudad Juarez is devastating, Velázquez said. This is proof of the extremely urgent need to ensure that there are systems in place to provide safety for people in need of international protection. Tensions between authorities and migrants had apparently been running high in recent weeks in Ciudad Juarez, a major crossing point across the border from El Paso for migrants entering the United States. Shelters in the city are full of migrants waiting for opportunities to cross or who have requested asylum in the U.S. and are waiting out the process. On March 9, more than 30 advocacy organizations and migrant shelters wrote an open letter denouncing the criminalization of migrants and asylum seekers in Ciudad Juarez and accusing authorities of excessive force in detaining migrants. Mexico's migrant facilities have seen protests from time to time as the American government has pressured the country to ramp up efforts to reduce the number of migrants coming to United States. Frustrations reached a fever pitch this month when hundreds of migrants, most of them Venezuelan, heard false rumors that the U.S. would allow them to enter and tried to cross an international bridge to El Paso. In October, migrants rioted at a Tijuana immigration center, and in November, dozens rioted at the country's largest detention center in the southern city of Tapachula.